The Red Raiders officially secured their spot in the Orange Bowl, and with it, a first-round bye. In today's video, we'll discuss Joey McGuire's remarks on Skyler Gill-Howard. Could the star defensive lineman be back for the Red Raiders against presumably Oregon or James Madison? We'll discuss that as well as the early national media sentiment around the Red Raiders. Do they even have a chance to make the semifinals? Some are calling the Red Raiders fraudulent. We'll also look at the latest national title odds and how Texas Tech is in a prime position to potentially bring back some hardware to the 806. Let's discuss. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. The voice is slowly coming back from Saturday and that spiritual experience for Red Raider Nation in Cowboy Stadium out in Arlington, Texas. Still just a surreal. I catch myself going and looking at some of the moments that I captured on my phone. Just an unreal experience. I hope wherever you were, whether you're there at the stadium with me or at home with loved ones, I just hope you thoroughly enjoyed that really memorable experience and historical moment in Texas Tech football program history. But we're moving on. That's in the past now. The focus now for Texas Tech is ensuring that they are ready for either Oregon or James Madison down in Miami Gardens on New Year's Day with kickoff set for 11 a.m. Central Time down there at Hard Rock Stadium. But could we have Skyler Gill-Howard back? Before we get into that, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button. That's all I'm going to ask you to do for today. Now, here's the thing about this. I think we've heard Joey McGuire talk about, hey, like, if you want to see him potentially come back, it is going to have to be in the college football playoff. Well, the Red Raiders are here, and Joey McGuire had his press conference after Texas Tech secured the 4 seed and the bye in the college football playoff, and naturally, someone asked about Skyler Gill-Howard. This is what Joey McGuire had to say. It sounds like Texas Tech will have to get a bit further into the college football playoff. That's what I want to preface what Joey McGuire had to say. He said he's out of the boot. He's doing water workouts. They hope to get him running full weight on the ground soon here in the next few weeks. If he does return, this is the biggest thing right here. If he does return, it will not be until the semifinals at the earliest for Texas Tech, okay? He said that they're going to have to at least go a little bit further into the college football playoff for Skyler Gill-Howard to at least have a chance to play one more time in the scarlet and black. And that's kind of where I thought this would end up. You don't want to put the player in harm's way. You don't want to rush him back from a pretty severe injury. Remember early on, we thought this would be one of those things where it was like, okay, he's going to miss a couple of weeks. It was a little bit worse than we thought. And now Skyler Gill-Howard is battling his way back and still being a large part of that defense in terms of the leadership role that he has. But it sounds like it's going to need more time in terms of his ankle to get back. And the Red Raiders are handling it obviously in the correct way long-term for him to ensure health and a chance to go play in the NFL. But it does sound like at the earliest, according to Joey McGuire, it will be the semifinals for Skyler Gill-Howard and a potential return to that defensive line room and being on the field for Texas Tech. All right. I'm already sick and tired of the national media sentiment around the Red Raiders. And sure, I know somebody from an outsider's point of view, not part of Red Raider Nation, will come in and be like, well, they're just telling the truth. Well, they're really not. They're really not. Let's be objective here. Is Texas Tech the weakest team in terms of the bye? Well, they're at 4, so the committee thinks so. I mean, that's how that goes, right? If they didn't, they wouldn't be 4. That being said, I think a lot of people have not watched Texas Tech play football a lot this season. And maybe they see bits and pieces or the highlights or the box score, and they think, oh, well, Texas Tech is dominant, but it's in the Big 12. I need national media members to get this shit through their skulls, okay? Just because they're wearing a Big 12 patch on their jersey does not mean this is your prototypical Big 12 team. Full stop, okay? Red Raider Nation knows that, and anyone that pays attention to Big 12 football weekly knows that, okay? This Texas Tech team is very different from any Big 12 team we have seen really in the past decade on what it is built on, and it is the front seven and just absolutely dominating you defensively. Full stop, right? The offensive line, even with its frustrations, loves to maul people in the run game, and they do so at a very high level. My biggest qualm is this. I've seen multiple people out there, and I don't want to like throw them under the bus. I think it was Rafino and Joe, who I actually enjoy their podcast quite a bit. I think they do great work over there on the Believe Network. But I believe it was Rafino who basically came out, Blake, by the way, came out and basically said Texas Tech is fraudulent. I strongly and adamantly disagree. And there are multiple reasons behind this. He basically came out and said the Red Raiders have not done a good enough job, or they haven't played an offense like Oregon, which I guess can be kind of true. But then the point that he brought up was the run game. Well, Oregon is 14th in the country when it comes to rush yards per game. Texas Tech has faced off against the second best team when it comes to rush yards per game in the country. That's the Utah Utes. And what did Texas Tech do to them? Absolutely dominated them at the line of scrimmage. Utah was perceived to have this offensive line that no one could do anything against. Texas Tech made them look pedestrian. Okay. Same thing could be said about BYU, this big, rugged, just big offensive line that could fit right in the Big Ten. What did they do? Manhandled them twice. Made them look pedestrian twice. Okay. And here's the deal. If you don't respect Big 12 football, by all means, I get it. In the sense of there's that national narrative, the SEC this, Big Ten this, whatever. I get it. But I could guarantee you this, if we're going to be doing all these hypothetical type things with the SEC and Big Ten, you take Texas Tech, you put them in the SEC, they're still going to compete at a very high level and probably have a chance to potentially make the college football playoff. Same thing if you drop them in the Big Ten. They're the third best team in that conference probably. They're right there with Oregon. There's a reason they're 4-5, okay? Oregon really hadn't played anybody great this year outside of what? Indiana, who is obviously great. What did they do to them? They lost. They got manhandled, mollywopped on their home field by Indiana. Don't let that score confuse you. Fernando Mendoza went up to Eugene and made the Ducks for dinner, okay? So saying that the Oregon Ducks are just leaps and bounds better than Texas Tech, and they have the easiest road to the semifinals, I think is very, very premature, and people need to look at the stats. I'll say this. Oregon, again, is the 14th best rushing team on average per game in the country. Very good. You're not going to hear me disrespect Oregon. Not going to do that. This is more so you need to put some damn respect on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, okay? They said that, and it's not just them. I don't want to just throw Rafino under the bus. He's really good at what he does. I'm not trying to do that at all. Him and Joe, again, I really love that podcast. That being said, there are multiple others that have basically insinuated Texas Tech is fraudulent. Well, if you bring up the discourse of the fact that Oregon is a very good rushing team, how are you not bringing up the fact that Texas Tech is the best rushing defense in the country by 8 yards per game? Like, they held BYU, arguably a top 10 rushing unit in attack in all of college football, to under 70 yards twice. They made Utah look like a D2 team running the football. Devon Dampier still has nightmares about Romello Height and David Bailey chasing after him. I mean, there was so much shit talk from that Utah team coming into that game. Parker was talking all types of shit in their backfield. And what did Texas Tech do? Make them look pedestrian. Every opportunity they have had at facing an elite rushing team, they have dominated. Does that happen against Oregon? I don't know, but put some damn respect on their name. That's for sure. You have to do that because, again, every opportunity the Red Raider front seven and really defense in general has faced up against the team that the national narrative has said, this is the team that could beat them, they've made them look pedestrian. BYU, Utah, whoever it is, right? Like every single time they have done it, okay? And again, Oregon, very good team, not dismissing that, but at least bring some other narratives to the table, in my opinion, because when I look at Oregon and Texas Tech early on, and again, I have the right to change this. I'm going to do a lot more extensive research once we know Texas Tech is actually playing Oregon or James Madison, whoever it is. Either way, if you face off against Oregon or James Madison, these are teams that like to run the football. It is going to be an ugly game. when it comes down to it. It's going to be who wins the front seven battle. And a lot of people will pick Oregon. I get it. They have a great front seven. But for those that have not watched Texas Tech this year, you're going to be in for a rude awakening thinking it's clearly Oregon when the Red Raiders come in there and hit a couple guys and they're like, oh, we got to wake up. This Texas Tech front seven is legit defensively. The offensive line is manhandling people in the run game. We'll see exactly what happens if Texas Tech does play Oregon. But it was just something that caught me off guard. I was like, we're going to be talking trash about the Texas Tech run defense and defense in general, thinking they can get manhandled. No one's done it. And I listen, I'll be surprised if anybody does this year. Okay. Just full blank period. All right. Let's go ahead and look at the latest national title odds before we get out of here. Let's go ahead and get them on your screen. You see that Ohio State, even after their loss to Indiana, is still the national title favorite at plus 220. Indiana not too far behind at plus 290. They are the current favorites, with Georgia and Oregon at 3-4, Texas Tech at 5. It's basically a coin flip between Oregon and Texas Tech at this point when it comes to who is the fourth favorite. There's a pretty sizable gap, right, between everybody else in terms of, 3, 4, 5. Georgia, clearly the third favorite, and then Texas Tech, Oregon right there, similar to Ohio State and Indiana at 1. But we'll see exactly how it goes down. Again, James Madison will head up to Eugene. They are 3-touchdown underdogs. Are James Madison against Oregon, and rightfully so. Oregon's very good. And I can't wait for this potential matchup between Oregon and Texas Tech down in Miami. I think it's going to be an absolute thriller of a matchup if it does end up happening and there's not an upset. But we will talk extensively about everything you need to know in Texas Tech football. We'll have a recruiting update here later on in the week, talking about some of the prospects you need to be monitoring in the class of 2027 as the class of 2026 is officially signed, and a lot of those guys will be early enrollees and be on campus really here in a few weeks, with the class of 2027 shaping up to be the best in Texas Tech football program history, as the Red Raiders, as it stands right now, have the number 1 overall class in college football. We'll have that. We'll have some Jacob Rodriguez talk in terms of his Heisman candidacy and much, much more. So if you want 100% free Texas Tech football content all year long right here on the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and like the video while you're at it. All right, I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, stay safe and Wreck 'em Tech.